Welcome, everybody, to another edition of UFO Man Live. Tonight, we were supposed to broadcast Grant Cameron's interview, but due to internet issues, he has the need to postpone to a later date. We are working on rescheduling him for Monday, this coming next Monday, at the same time and same station, so 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We will post it when we confirm the date. Okay. My name is Tim, or UFO Man, and to my right is my friend and my co-host, Tommy Highway. Tommy, take it away.
Hey folks, I'm Tommy Highway. Want to thank everybody for coming out as usual. Really sorry that things work out the way they did, but unfortunately with live broadcasts, sometimes these things happen. However, what we do want to do tonight is we're going to go ahead and kind of have an open chat. We've also got some great news articles that Tim's going to run for us. We'll go through some of those. We're also going to go ahead and touch on the upcoming report, at least as much as we can. We'll go over some, some quotes that from Luis Elizondo that I found on Sputnik. That are very interesting. And so, Tim, do you think we should just go ahead and run with the news? Or
Sure, we can do a news article. I have a clip here from John Ratcliffe, the former Defense Department of National Intelligence head. And here we go. Check this out.
It's not going to rule anything out or anything in, for that matter. I think what's important and what people can expect about this UAP report is I think it'll talk about the number of sightings. They're far greater than have been publicly disclosed before. I think there's been some leaking that there may be as many as 100. I'm not going to dispute that number. But what's more important, Trey, is that the number of sightings and recordings that have been picked up by what we call multiple sensors, that is visual, radar, ISR, satellite. And when you have multiple sensors under conditions where we see UAPs, it explains away a lot of the things like visual disturbances or things like that. And so, I hope the report will address why we can't answer some of these explanations, because here's the bottom line. When it comes to national security, ego can't be involved. If there's something out there that's bigger or faster and stronger, we've really got to answer that question. And so having a discussion about it is going to be a good thing.
Well, Johnny, you were a U.S. attorney before you came to Congress, so you're an evidence-driven guy. You've seen all the evidence. I'm not asking you what it is, but are you more skeptical, less skeptical, or the same on UFOs and life on other planets than you were before you were the DNI?
Well, again, I don't look at it from the standpoint of life on other planets. I look from the standpoint of national security, and here's what troubles me right now, Trey, is a lot of people say, well, maybe it's Russia or China. But some of the things that have been publicly talked about, we know for a fact from the intelligence community, we have high confidence that things like transmedium properties and hypersonic speed, meaning vehicles that go at 5 times the speed of sound, or Mach 5, Russia and China clearly didn't have those in 2004 when some of these things were cited and recorded. And so we need to get explanations for them. And, again, if someone is bigger, faster, or stronger out there, we need to know about it. And so we need to have a discussion where our sailors, our airmen, and our soldiers can talk about it and report it so that we have that information so we can figure out what it is to protect America.
Okay.
that's right. And here's the thing, like he was saying, so we're to believe that China and Russia or any other adversary had this type of technology back in 2004, approaching 20 years ago. And you can go back a lot further than that, folks. I mean, we're talking about, we talked about the Foo Fighters on the last show from World War II. I mean, so this has obviously been going on for a very long time. And it's something that there's no other nation state would have that technology during these time periods. Not even us, not even the United States. What are your thoughts, Tim?
I think that since we've been saying on the channel all along that it isn't China or it isn't Russia, and then all of a sudden they get confirmation from the DNI, John Ratcliffe, that confirms the fact that we just did not have transmedium technology back in 2004. And if that's the case, at least the gimbal and the Tic Tac were not of Earth origin, or so they're coming out and saying without actually saying it, which is frustrating as all get out. But I have to say that the 2017 sighting and the 2019 sightings may or may not be foreign adversarial technology. I do not know, but because technology can progress over a period of time. So whether it is or not, that's left up to them to let us know, I guess. But in my opinion, it is not our technology. In fact, Lou Elizondo has come out several times and stated that they're at least 100 to 1,000 years ahead of us. And there's no way, I don't care if it was channeled or otherwise, there's no way a foreign adversarial power can leapfrog us that many years ahead.
No way. And again, like we've said before, you would see other signs of it, not just in their military, but you would also see signs of it in their industrial sector as well. I mean, if you can, if you have some sort of ability to create a field propulsion system, well, there's a whole lot you can do with that, and economically. And they would take over the global economy in a matter of a few years if they had the power source that was clean, unlimited, things of that nature. And we're not seeing that. So,
right.
They're using the same power sources that humanity's always used: nuclear, oil, coal, whatever. I don't think it's that. And this actually probably gets pretty good segue into an article I found here on Sputnik. We've talked about this on the channel many times before, where these devices, these craft, these whatever they are, have actually interfered in not only our nuclear arsenal, but also with the Russians. You see, here's the thing, in Luis Elizondo, I saw him on a little bit older interview recently, though, and he stated that after the fall of the Soviet Union, the United States and the Soviet Union, or Russia, I should say, kind of had a bromance going on for 4 or 5 years. And during that bromance, we were actually passing technology and information back and forth to each other. And one of the things that was actually coming out was with the Russians and UFOs. And they were talking about how they've had some of their, there was a craft that hovered over one of their launch facilities and actually turned on their missiles. I mean, they were ready to launch against their designated targets, which of course at the time, and probably still is, us, United States.
Right.
Let's see here. He goes on to say things like, now in this country, we've had incidents where these UAPs have interfered and actually brought offline our nuclear capabilities. And we know that because we've heard that from military personnel. We've heard that story. That's been decades old. That's at least 3 decades old, probably 4.
Right. So it's not a new discussion. It's not even new information.
Right. And he goes on to say, I think that there is certainly at this point enough data to demonstrate that there is an interest in our nuclear technology, a potential to even interfere with our nuclear technology, Elizondo said, noting that there is nothing surprising about a possible increased interest in the U.S. capabilities related to its nuclear technology. And that's what all the experts seem to agree on, is that when things really started to heat up as far as a lot of sightings and encounters and that kind of thing, was right about at the beginning of the nuclear age. It's like they say, when you detonate a nuclear weapon, it can be seen from space. I mean, there's that much of an energy release. I mean, so they knew that we were playing with the matches. Tim, what are your thoughts?
I think that when the first atomic weapon was exploded is when they took notice. And they actually, it's kind of like if an alien race comes here and they're comparing us to an anthill, and all of a sudden that anthill sets off a bomb that could destroy the planet, and they take notice. That's pretty much what's happening here. They're taking notice, and they're interceding. Now, whether it is their agenda to intercede and control the nukes, or whether they're just sending out a signal saying, look, we can shut them off or set them off. Either way, your decision, humanity. That's my opinion. I don't think we know their agenda, and that's the issue right now among the press and among the DOD and the Pentagon. They have no idea who's flying these things. They have no idea how they're being flown, what their agenda is, etc. And that is the big thing they're trying to push.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely right. The Bentwaters incident. There's also several different former military officers and personnel that have gone on record to say that the bunkers where they were actually keeping the nuclear weapons, which we weren't supposed to have in England, but we did have in England, and there was actually a craft during that period of time that hovered over those and shot beams into each one of those bunkers where the nukes were kept. Now, what are they trying to say? Were they messing with those nukes? Were they deactivating those nukes? We don't know. Or maybe it was just simply a matter of them saying, hey, we know you have nukes and we know you're hiding them here, here, and here. Maybe that's it. But that did happen. And there were just too many people saw that, witnessed that have no reason to fabricate a story like that, folks.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. We have another news clip, Tommy. I think I should bring it up. Is from Senator Heinrich. He states it's time to stop sweeping hard UFO data under the rug. Mm-hmm. I think it's an important clip. We need to publicly display this one. So come on, go big. There we go.
Senator Martin Heinrich says it's time to start listening to some of our U.S. Navy pilots.
Taking the data that we have seen, the video that we've seen, and their testimony seriously is the right thing to do.
The Pentagon's report on a number of unexplainable sightings will be released in weeks. Senator Heinrich hasn't seen it and isn't expecting a lot of answers.
I think we just don't know what we're seeing.
ABC News is reporting some of the movements could not be pulled off by a human pilot or a man-made aircraft. Heinrich backs up that theory.
And certainly, if you were a human being inside something that moved like some of these objects, you would not be well.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You probably couldn't survive the kind of movements that we've seen.
These encounters are puzzling. Heinrich wants to change the conversation we're having about them.
And I think what's important is for us as a government, if we're going to take these things seriously, is to stop trying to sweep it under the rug and really do the science of figuring out, what are these things that the pilots are seeing and that are showing up on radar, et cetera.
You can really hear it in their voices too,
right,
when they're talking. Like they have no idea what they're looking at.
And there was a culture for a long time of, just don't discuss it.
He says that stops soon with this report, though he has a feeling when he does read it, it'll just be the beginning of trying to really find out what's in these videos. Royal Day, KOAT, Action 7 News.
That report.
Well,
out.
Hold on. Sorry. Okay, there we go.
Like they're saying there, well, if there were a pilot in the cockpit of this thing, he wouldn't be able to survive. Well, let's look at it a little bit more fundamentally than that. We can't even design a craft itself to be able to withstand those kinds of G-forces within the planetary atmosphere. We're not even close to that level of technology. I mean, like they were saying, I think 11, 12, 16 Gs or something like that is the most that we can actually create a craft to be able to withstand. Okay, these things are going 600 Gs. I mean, 16,000 miles an hour, and it makes a right turn. I mean, come on, folks. There's just no way, in my humble opinion, that we're talking about terrestrial technology here. Somebody from somebody else is here, and they're playing with their toys on our planet.
Although I gotta say this, since 1994, we've had the TR-3B and the TR-3B Astra, and both of them have an anti-gravitational platform. So they form an anti-gravitational bubble around the crew compartment and the actual electronics. So it does protect the pilots in that form, but it's a triangle and not pyramid shaped, not tic-tac shaped, and not spherical shaped or flying saucer shaped. So every other shape out there is most likely not us, but we do have one anti-gravity platform that I know of. And we've done live streams on that technology in the past. So if you need to check up on that, search back on our live streams and you'll see it.
Well, it's like Elizondo was quoted as saying, it's like, look at the SR-71 Blackbird, one of the fastest aircraft ever designed. And when you want to make a turn on it, if you want to change directions or whatever, if you're flying at its optimal speed, your turn would take you something about the size of the state of Ohio to be able to make that turn. Okay. So, and that's only at a few thousand miles per hour. So, amplify that times, 8 or 10 or something like that. So a 6 or 8. And you're talking about speeds at which no material that we have that is known to us as a species, that at least that we all know about as people, could withstand something like that. Most of the designs that we have to understand, we can develop some really super fast fighters, okay? But like the SR-71, it had to be made out of titanium because everything else would melt at that speed, okay?
Right.
So it just goes to show you that that's, again, we're using our best material, which is probably titanium for that kind of stuff, and it's barely good enough, and it's certainly not good enough to withstand 60 Gs. No way.
Right.
600 Gs.
Zofa says a space-time envelope cancels inertia, I believe. Science says it should also cancel time dilation. I've heard that it does cancel mass as well as inertia. I don't know about time dilation. There is supposedly time dilation when a craft reaches a certain amount of speed in space, time slows down. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. What do you have to say about it, Tommy?
Well, I mean, there's been talk of there's micro time disruptions and things like that when it comes to these craft. Bob Lazar actually brought that up. He talked about that back in the late 80s. So who knows if that's true or not. But either way, at this point, what we've got the government. And we've talked about this before. The United States government has painted itself into such a corner on this issue with the complete denial, the intimidation of witnesses, the ruination of witnesses, ruin people's lives, things of that nature. And we know that they've done this. I mean, there were several people that were witness to Roswell at least one part of Roswell or another, be it the craft, be it the transport or whatever. And they were physically threatened. Their lives were threatened if they talked about this. Okay, so for the government to continue to come out and say, well, it's crazy, it's swamp gas, it's this or that, it's a real hard pill for them to swallow, to be able to have to even come out and say, hey, these things are real and we don't know what they are. I mean, we should be impressed that that's happening. I'll be honest with you, in my opinion.
Right. Tay says the closer to the speed of light, the slower time moves, allegedly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your wavelength gets shorter.
Right.
What else do we have to roll, Tim?
Okay, we have another one. Public reaction to DNI UFO report prior to release on June 25th. You can play that one. Here we go.
This week, details of a new government report on unexplained aerial phenomena came out. Intelligence officials found no evidence that these UAPs or UFOs are alien spacecraft, but they also didn't completely rule it out. They also couldn't offer an explanation about what they actually are. Advanced technology from a foreign government, maybe? Out-of-date radar on American warplanes? One thing that they did say, the technology is not part of some advanced U.S. program. Joining us now to talk more about the report and what it does and doesn't reveal is investigative filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, whose website, Extraordinary Beliefs, first released many of these videos. And we should mention, first of all, Jeremy, welcome. Thank you for being with us. And I was going to point out the fact that the Pentagon has signed off on these videos. So you do have the Pentagon's stamp of approval on them, so to speak. I'm curious your reaction to the government report, which really leaves us asking a number of questions still.
Yeah, and it's great that it leaves us asking a number of questions. Here's the point. The United States government has admitted, finally, that UFOs are real. They're advanced aerospace craft that are moving with impunity through our restricted airspace. The biggest thing that was leaked out about the report that's coming this month is that these are not advanced U.S. technologies. So that takes off of the table one of the things that people have been wondering for decades now. UFOs are not U.S. bound. So where do they come from? Who's operating them? What's the intent?
Jeremy, what do you think, though? I mean, the worst thing we fear is that it's a foreign government and they're spying on us with much greater accuracy and much greater technology than we have, or it's someone from a different planet, which would be totally fascinating, but equally terrifying as well. Where do you fall on this?
Well, I'm not terrified by it. You know, UFOs have been with human culture since the beginning of recorded human history. They have been documented by military pilots since human beings have been in the air. So is this an adversarial foreign nation that leapfrogged U.S. technology by 1,000 years plus back in the 50s? I highly doubt it. That is starting to dwindle as a possibility because Russia and China also have UFO exploitation or study programs. So the question is this something more exotic? All we know is UFOs, they are real and they represent a technology which we do not have capacity to replicate. And that's a huge deal.
And when you say more exotic, what do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of options. Look, all I know is UFOs are real. They're flying in our airspace over restricted airspace, such as nuclear facilities. They've actually intervened with our nuclear weapons. This is well documented. The military has admitted to this through FOIA requests. We have the documents. So the question is more exotic. You know, where are these things coming from? Who has an advanced technology that outpaces, outmaneuvers, and outperforms anything the United States government has ever created? Who has it?
There's the two pilots that we saw in 60 Minutes, a few weeks ago. That was wild. They talked about flying down super low to seeing this little, I don't know, called like a Tic Tac thing, about the same size, but no fumes, no wings, had nothing, same size as their F-18 or whatever it was, but
and then it was just gone.
Here, and it just evaporates all of a sudden and takes off at a much faster rate.
Yeah, so you're talking about Commander David Fravor, who chased the tic-tac-shaped UFO for the United States military. You're showing images right now that I released, the Pentagon confirmed. I released those with my mentor in journalism, George Knapp. That's warships, Navy warships off the coast of California that were swarmed by UFOs. Now, yes, Commander Fravor engaged a tic-tac-shaped UFO, and a man named Commander Chad Underwood is the one that filmed it. Look, we have sensor data. We have FLIR video. We have corroborative sensor data that shows UFOs are swarming our restricted airspace. So this is a big deal. It's a big deal. The United States government is finally admitting after 71 years of secrecy.
But really, though, this final report will be released to the Congress June 25th, so right around the corner. But it's not going to be made. It's classified, right? So what does that say?
Well, not exactly. So finally, representative government is looking at the question of what are UFOs? You know, they're there. Our pilots are having near misses. That report should be wholly unclassified. There should be a little bit of classified index, but we are hoping the United States government, the Department of Defense, is transparent, UFO transparency with the American public and the global public. So, you can bet yourself that most of it is going to be unclassified.
All right, Jeremy.
Like to see myself get as excited as you. I'm a little more anxious about it right now.
Yeah.
It's just a little.
Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. Look, UFOs, they've been here for a long time. The question is, it's a new reality, and we need to understand what they represent. And I'm really excited. It's a really interesting time in human history.
What are they Or who are they? Yeah. It is unnerving. Jeremy Corbell with the website Extraordinary Beliefs. We appreciate your time and your video. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, pay attention. There's more video coming out. I'm just not even started yet releasing video.
Cool.
Very good. Okay, Jeremy, that's a good
wiki of UFOs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Interesting. See, nobody that's involved in UAP or UFOs or aerospace or anything like that is actually going for the fact that this is some sort of foreign adversary's technology. Nobody's going for it, folks, because I mean, there's just no conceivable way that could be. We've gone through this time and time again. You know, the costs involved of creating something like this. You know, the manpower, the ingenuity, the engineering, all of that, and if they're creating those, and they're creating dozens of different models of all shapes and sizes and things like that, and they're creating these things 50 to 100. Now, where's the assembly line putting these things together at? What part of China is that in? Okay, I mean, you think we don't have eyes on everything China does via satellites? Of course we do. I just think that the argument, if they're trying to make the argument that this is foreign adversarial stuff, I just think it's a ridiculous argument. I'm sorry, I just can't go for it. Tim, you're muted.
Okay. Anyways, what I was going to say is, can we order a flying saucer on Wish? I mean, the way they're mentioning the fact that China may have this technology in mass quantities, like 50 to 100 pyramid-shaped transmedium vehicles, it doesn't seem believable. I just can't wrap my mind around that. I do not believe, according to the facts in history, there's no way that they have that amount of technology with their economy and the amount of people that they have over there with issues. No, I don't believe it.
They're still building their very first aircraft carrier. They bought one from Russia and they refurbished, and they're actually still, I think they just finished maybe their first actual Chinese aircraft carrier. So they're just getting to that level of naval activity, and they've got dozens and 50 to 100 fleets of anti-gravity UFOs. Come on.
I do know that their space program has advanced dramatically, meaning that they just recently put a rover on Mars, but their rovers are nowhere near as advanced as the United States, and the U.S. is coming out directly and telling you that we do not have anything like what the pilots are encountering. It's just not the case, or the U.S. Navy is encountering. And I watched a video today with Harry Reid, and he said it's not just 5 or 6 encounters or 10 or 12 encounters, it's hundreds of encounters that they're going to be looking at. Not 120 as was stated in the media. Okay, there's more than that. The 120 were probably the least classified versions of UFO encounters that they could give to the public on short notice, in my opinion. I think that they're working on getting better footage, better photographs and things of that nature, the things that would prove to the public that what they're claiming is actually an alien vehicle or an interdimensional vehicle or something other than foreign adversarial technology through their actual evidence, which I think we're going to get in the long run. But right now, with it all being compartmentalized and classified, that's what takes time. And as Tommy and I both know, as ex-government employees, me being in the service and him working for the government directly, there's so much paperwork you have to file just to get one thing done. So it may take months or even years.
It's just an unbelievable bureaucratic process that has to happen for us to be able to obtain this information. And even though, I mean, I would bet my bottom dollar, excuse me, that they've already investigated each one of these sightings, these encounters all the video. I'm sure they've already done that. Putting it together in one package is really what they'd have to do next. But the problem with that is that there is like a factional war going on within the United States government right now. And I've gotten this from some of my own sources, that, you know, a lot of factions of the government do not want this out. They do not want to talk about this. They want to keep this under wraps. Then you've got other factions of the government that want to bring this thing to light, this subject to light, and actually share it with the people. So there's some sort of an ideological war, if you will, going on over this report and over these sightings and over the subject matter itself, to be honest. So who knows what we're going to get? But I mean, again, if they're just going to waste our time, if they're just going to give us a load of crap that is swamp gas or something like that, don't even bother. You know, take that right back to where you wrote it at, and give us something better. Give us something that's more plausible. Give us something that's realistic. Give us something that we can believe. Okay.
Right. That's why Lou Elizondo came out and said point blank. He said, I really hope that this is just an interim report, because it's not enough time to gather the appropriate data necessary to give a comprehensive report to the U.S. public. The only way we can get the report is with more time, and that may take months. He said pressure. That and pressure, yes, and leverage. And the thing is the first person to apply leverage was Harry Reid, Senator Harry Reid. Okay, and without him, we would not be this far. Okay, and then when the New York Times came out with the article in 2017 about ATIP, and one of the people that we're going to be interviewing Saturday by the name of Ralph Blumenthal was a co-author of that article with Leslie Keene and Helene Cooper. So check in on Saturday to see our interview with Ralph Blumenthal. He worked from the 60s through 2009 with the New York Times. So he's had his hand on the pulse of the nation. Plus, he is the successor to John Mack. So when John Mack passed, Ralph Blumenthal picked up his mantle and is researching alien abductions and alien contact. So he has written some books on it, and we're going to have him on Saturday. So we hope you can come and join us Saturday to see Ralph.
He's an old school journalist, the real hard nosed kind of journalist, and that's exactly what this subject needs at this point. I don't need teeny bopper queens running around worrying about this subject and doing television shows about the subject and all that. What we need are people that are in the know, have been in the know for a long time, so we can get this thing figured out.
So you were referring to Demi Lovato, right?
Yes, I was, sir.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think she'll get ratings just because she's popular, and it may draw attention to the subject, even though it does erode a little bit of the credibility that we're all trying to establish within the UFO community, because it's kind of like paranormal research. To establish credibility, you have to follow certain protocols, and that's what we're doing in the ufology community. But when you have someone like Demi Lovato come on the scene that has absolutely no knowledge of UFOs, and they put her in a position of narrating a show that is going to give people who know nothing about UFOs in-depth content, that's kind of an insult to the UFO community, and that's where Tommy's coming off. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think substance abuse problems and things like that, and all the negativity that this person has had surrounding their personal life in the news, we don't need that in this movement. That's not what we need. We need credibility. We need stability. We need people that we can trust and believe in. And I tell you, Tim and I, we work hard to be that for you folks, for our audience.
Right.
So when we see somebody else messing around just for ratings, using our movement just to get some sort of television rating so they can sell, a new kind of toilet paper or something, it's just a little bit much for us to take, folks, to be honest.
Hold on a second here. Talking about interviews, we have an interview coming up next Wednesday as well with someone you might all know. His name is Paul Allen Hynek. He is John Allen Hynek's son. John Allen Hynek was the leader of Project Blue Book. So we're going to get an in-depth insight into his father's perceptions of UFOs and the research that Paul Allen Hynek has carried on with. And he will be live on our channel next Wednesday. And then the following Saturday, after that, we're going to be interviewing a gentleman by the name of Dr. Bruce Olaf Solheim, that has written some comic books and some other books about paranormal research, but he's also written books about UFO contact and alien abduction. So we'll be interviewing him as well. All of these people are being featured on Contact in the Desert UFO conference, along with myself and Tommy Highway. We're both going to be featured in the interviews, which will be part of the host window on the front page of the virtual site. So I hope that you come there and join us as well. Okay, getting back to some information. Pentagon comments on possible UAP national security issue. And then we're going to discuss that because it's necessary to make some points. Here we go.
John, I'll start you off with a UFO question. How about that?
Go for it.
Has Secretary Austin been briefed on this report that's required by Congress? And also, just more broadly, did Secretary Austin see this, what apparently is an increasing number of reported incidents, as a safety report for the military in terms of pilot training and so forth, as well as a national security threat?
He has received a briefing on the work that the task force has thus far conducted. The report, as you know, is being crafted and will be delivered by the Director of National Intelligence, but he has received a briefing on the work thus far. And as we've said before, we take all incursions into our operating spaces seriously. So, I mean, like everybody else here at the Defense Department, certainly we are taking the entire matter seriously, as it regarding the potential for safety concerns.
Right. I mean, in other words, regardless of what the explanation may be, or if there is none of what they are, there are incidents in which pilots are seeing things that are close enough that it could be a safety, or it is a safety problem?
It could potentially involve safety and or national security concerns, absolutely.
So this is what I want to say about this. I think they're pushing the national security issue or the national security threat narrative too much, because if they push it as hard as they are, then they can come out and say, well, we need to classify the data because it's a national security threat. What do you think, Tommy?
I think you're right. I think that, well, first of all, I guess I'll go to Marco Rubio, Senator Marco Rubio. You know, anything that's occurring in our airspace that we don't know what it is, and it's doing so with impunity, is no doubt a national security threat. Now, you can take threat a lot of different ways. At this point, they're obviously observing what we're doing. I think that's pretty much evident. Okay, they have, like we've said just a little while ago, we talked about the fact that they have goofed around with our nuclear weapons, both our weapons as well as Russia's. You know, is that a threat? Would you consider that a threat? You know, you've got people that are being abducted, and I do believe this is happening. We've talked to too many people here on the program that, you know, have these experiences, and is that a threat? So, yeah, I mean, I would have to go as far as go and say that anything unknown is a potential threat, and unfortunately, that's just how humanity sees things. Okay, I mean, we're still primitive in some ways. You know, we still have that fight or flight instinct. We've still got that going on. I mean, that we've carried that on with us from primitive times.
I agree with you, Tommy. Humanity looks at it from their viewpoint as abductions and missing time and incursions into our airspace, and not recognizing restricted airspace as being a national security threat. But who's to say these alien life forms, if they are what they seem to be, are actually aware of restricted airspace? Like I've had this discussion with you before. Yes, they're aware of our capabilities. Yes, they're able to manipulate our nuclear weapons. Yes, they're able to shut them down and enable them. And they're also able to shoot them out of the sky. Because I know there's some videotape out there of that.
Sure.
I think Stephen Greer had a video of a guy talking about a missile going up, and all of a sudden a disc came out of nowhere and shot at it 3 or 4 times, and it tumbled off into space. Well, what I'm going to say to you is this, and we've also had planes go missing, Fred Valentich and others. But what I'm going to say to you is this. Could it be that alien life forms that are visiting here, if they are visiting here, and I personally think they're here already, could they be trying to, A, protect our planet from our destructive nature, okay? And or could they be indifferent rather than aggressive, meaning that in their way of thinking, they have an indifference toward the ants in the anthill, whereas we are the ants, okay? And they feel that they have the right to do what they want to do because they're indifferent. But in regards to us, we take it as a threat. So that's how we're addressing the issue. What do you think, Tommy?
We're a paranoid race by nature. I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And, so yeah, of course that's going to, well, these incursions, and Tim and I, like he said, we've talked about this before, whether or not they understand and recognize restricted airspace. Well, maybe they don't, but I'm sure once they go over, I mean, they've got to recognize, I would think, that this is a military facility. And if they were to incur into that military facility and they're sitting over top of it, they're going to see these soldiers running around like a bunch of ants. All of a sudden, like you kick the anthill over. What happens? The ants go crazy. They come out of there. They go every which way, do their thing. And that's exactly what we do when they're incurring over one of our military installations. Alerts go off, soldiers running here, soldiers running there, planes being fueled or whatever. So, I mean, maybe they just don't care. Maybe it's like, there's nothing you can do to us anyway. We're just going to sit here and take all the data we want, kiss it, and that's just the way it is. Maybe that's the case. Maybe there's another thought that I had. Maybe they're being here and observing us. It's because they're trying to, I don't know, maybe protect their investment in us or whatever. I mean, who knows? In other words, alien abduction, especially the generational alien abduction, which is the most common type, all right, it seems to be focusing on genetic research, the DNA of these people and the DNA of their offspring and things like that. They're very interested in that. So maybe they need us for that. Who knows?
One thing I saw the other day was somebody mentioned that if alien life, well, there's a theory out there that aliens live longer than we do, that their lifespans are significantly longer. So if their lifespans are significantly longer, could they actually be a group of select beings that are coming here to scope out our capabilities? I mean, like scouts would in a military maneuver. I mean, if they are coming here, could they be doing it over a long period of time, say thousands of years, because they live so much longer? And if they were, then they would be considered a threat. But if they're not, then I don't think the U.S. government and every other government on this planet should be perpetrating the idea that they're a threat.
Well, the United States government loves to keep the people frightened. They're real good at that too. We've seen that for the last year or so. So that being said, I mean, I think that it comes down to they don't want to release too much information because they don't want to create a panic in the people, at least not yet. I think that they're saving that. Maybe that's part of the government agenda. I don't know, but I don't think they're gonna do that. But again, at least at this point, show us something. I mean, we know from testimony from Luis Elizondo as well as others that we've got photographs of these things 50 feet outside the cockpit of the aircraft. Okay, where are those photos? Where are those videos? That's the stuff that we need to demand to see right there, folks, because that's going to be what tells the tale, right?
Yeah, we want to see the 4K photos. We don't want to see the iPhone 5 photos. Come on.
Or something less. I mean, lesser than that. We're talking about we're getting not even 8:6 resolution. I mean, and again with the Tic Tac incident, there's a great video out there. I wish I had it. I'd post it, but they're talking to the sailors that were actually on those ships. They were tracking it on radar and all of that business. And they were each called to the briefing room after the fact, after this happened. And they said that they're looking at crystal clear video, couldn't have been better video of these things. And they've even said, listen, what's been released to the public's garbage as far as resolution's concerned.
It's almost like they scrubbed the video to make it blurry so that you couldn't really tell. And then they have the option of saying, well, we don't know what it is.
Right, exactly. They don't want us to get a good look at this thing. And again, with this ideological war that's going on in the government right now regarding this report that's supposed to drop, I tell you what, we'll find out who won. We'll find out which side of that ideological battle won when they drop their report. If the report contains nothing new and it's just a bunch of garbage and redacted statements and things like that, then we'll know the hardliners won. If we actually get some information like good photos, videos, and some fresh perspective on what we know is actually happening, well, then then we'll know that the ideological battle was won by the people who want the information out there. So
right, exactly. I mean, come on, 71 years plus of suppression.
Right.
Lou Elizondo said the other day, you got an 800-pound gorilla on your back. Don't you want to get rid of it? Why do you want to carry it around for another few decades? Right. Just get rid of it. Have some true transparency in the United States. What's it going to do? I mean, whether we know or not, there's not a lot we as normal civilians can do anything about alien incursions.
Great point.
But whether we know or not doesn't matter. The point is, they're afraid that we're going to react like people reacted over the George Floyd killing in Minneapolis, or how people reacted over War of the Worlds in 1939 on the East Coast.
Right.
They're afraid of people panicking and going into anarchy and religions toppling. And because if you find out that aliens are real, you get confirmation from the U.S. government, and that's what you want, and then you believe finally, will it erode your belief in religion?
Well, let's look at that. Let's look at what it may or may not do to religion. First of all, you have to understand, folks, that the Catholic religion, Catholic priests, they wouldn't even touch Galileo's telescope. Okay, they wouldn't look through it because of their religious doctrine prevented them from seeing into the heavens. Okay, so I mean, you're going to have that. You're going to have that. But there are different things in the Bible. Now, I'm not a Bible scholar, obviously, or anything like that. I usually touch a Bible and catch on fire. But that being said, there are, like Ezekiel saw the wheel. There are stories where there are strange space anomalies or strange sky anomalies, let's say, that are mentioned. Okay, so would it really upset religion all of that much? I mean, the Vatican is into space now, big time. They've got their own observatory and the whole 9 yards. They've come a heck of a long way since Galileo. Tim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Vatican is supposedly tracking a whole bunch of large objects that are approaching Earth, and they have been doing that for about 5 years. Don't know what they are, have no clue, and the Vatican hasn't come clean about it either. They just said that they are tracking something. they do believe, they have come out. I think there was a couple of cardinals that came out and said openly and publicly that yes, they've been in contact with alien races for a long time. So the Catholic Church does believe in alien life. The thing is I'm not a Bible scholar either. I might catch on fire as well. But what I'm going to say, Tommy, what I'm going to say is this. I remember one statement. God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, heavens, space. So why couldn't space include tons of different life forms that are made by some omnipotent power somewhere?
Sure.
Okay.
God.
Or something like God. Okay. And exist and still be part of the kingdom of heaven, if you want to speak about biblical terms. Okay.
All God's children. All God's children.
Exactly. So why does mankind always go back to the idea that we are the center of the universe and there is no other alien life? I think it's our ego getting in the way. And the point is, there is life elsewhere. There has to be. I mean, unimaginable, untold amounts of stars, planets, galaxies, solar systems, dimensions. Come on, people. You know for a fact there's got to be life somewhere else. Right, Tommy?
Absolutely. Our understanding of the cosmos amounts to absolutely dick, frankly. We don't know anything. We haven't been anywhere. I mean, we've sent out some probes to planets in our own solar system, but that's a real small part. I mean, that's a grain of sand and a beach. All right, it maybe not even that. But
right.
So to think that humanity is the only intelligent life in the universe. Well, let's take a look at the universe. We can sort of gauge the age of the universe and the galaxies in it, things of that nature. We have some idea of some of that. And in terms of galaxies, we're out here in the boondocks somewhere. Okay, there are a lot of older galaxies than ours, a lot of them, probably billions more galaxies that are older than ours. And all of those suns and all of those planets and all of those systems, for mankind to think that we're the only intelligent life out there, that's just disappointing. I mean, because if you even call us intelligent at this point.
And narcissistic and egotistical, big time.
Big time.
I mean, come on. I'm sure that maybe our planet has been overlooked by some races, but I bet you other races have been here for a long time.
Sure.
I mean, look at all the water. See, that's the thing. I've always wondered why scientists say, well, you need water to live on a planet. Well, that's for human life. Earth animals, earth plants.
Carbon-based life.
Carbon-based life forms. What if they're not carbon-based? Then they don't need water. So they could be somewhere else. So life could exist anywhere. And the thing is, I believe it is. I believe we have life here already that is not human. And someday, hopefully soon, we'll be able to prove it.
Cave paintings all over the place from just dozens of different cultures all over the planet. You've got carvings, stone carvings, wood carvings of things that look like aliens. And in some cases, a guy in a spacesuit. I mean, a guy in a spacesuit, okay? And I think Peru. You have these things. And as we said before on the channel, back in those days, okay, everybody was, what you were thinking about was, where's my next meal going to come from? Because everybody was that far away from starvation. They didn't have much of an imagination, folks. And they didn't have a lot of resources or anything else. So when they actually sat down or whatever they did to create a carving or a cave painting or something like that, depicting the same things that we're talking about today, all right, they did that because they were depicting what they saw, what they actually witnessed, okay, and not their imagination. I mean, the Aztecs they didn't have a VCR. They didn't know anything about Star Wars, okay? They didn't know anything about space travel or even human flight. Yet they're drawing these things. They're crafting little figurines of things that look like UFOs, jets with wings and things like that, things that they had no idea of, but yet there they are.
Kind of like the city of Abydos, where they had the carvings on the wall that looked like a helicopter, and the speeder from Star Wars, and a flying saucer, and so on and so forth. And I think one even looked like a plane. Where did they come from? Where did that perception come from? Obviously, that had to come from someone else.
Right.
Because they didn't have that back then. And if they did have that, where did that technology go? There should be some remnant, but there isn't. The only thing that they supposedly found recently in the past few years was some parts of a Vimana that was trapped in an Afghanistan cave. Now, I can't confirm that, but world leaders were supposedly flown to the site because they found the engine to the actual vehicle. And it gave them an idea on how to develop the nose cone for space travel. You know how they're shaped triangular and round. That's the same shape as some of the Vimanas that are out there. And one of these nights, we're going to cover Vimanas in depth so that you have a better idea of what we're talking about, if you don't already know that. Tommy, any last comments?
Well, folks, again, sorry to disappoint you on the interview. This was just something that was out of our hands. We apologize for that, but we will reschedule that interview. We've got tons more coming that are absolutely fantastic. We're going to get into this. The channel's really growing, and you could really help us out if you would by sharing our links out on your social media. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, there's all of our links and stuff right there. Also, hit our website. That's www.ufomannetwork.com. We really appreciate that. Again, when this report does drop, we are going live on the spot. I mean, right now, it's red alert. Okay, so just everybody be prepared for that live stream, because it's going to go boom, just like that. And we're going to parse through this thing. We're going to see if we can make any sense of it, and we're going to see again who actually won this ideological battle that's going on in the American Pentagon right now. And I think that'll tell us the tale.
Okay, well, I'm going to show this for those of you who did not see it. Grant Cameron was postponed tonight due to internet issues. It was supposedly very stormy up in Winnipeg, Canada, and he lost his internet and isn't getting it back till Friday. So we're going to reschedule with him on Monday, hopefully Monday. And if we can confirm that, we will repost the live stream on our channel, and then you can all come see Grant Cameron. He has a wonderful channel. It's called White House UFOs. Very talented man. He's written several books. You need to listen to him. He has in-depth knowledge about presidential contact with alien life forms and UFO encounters and other things. Tommy?
Yeah, again, folks, we just want to thank everybody for hanging with us. You guys are awesome. You're the reason that we come and do this, really. It's not like, we don't get a lot of cooperation from the government and all that. And it's like we always say, we all get together, we're all smart people, and we all add our little piece of this to this big puzzle. And every time that we do this, folks, we like to think that we get a little bit better view of the big picture.
Right. And I want to thank everybody in the chat room and everybody who participated online. I'm sorry that this wasn't Grant Cameron, but we will have a phenomenal interview on Saturday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, with Ralph Blumenthal from the New York Times. Hope you can join us for our journey. And as always, from Tommy and I.
Contact in the Desert. Better go ahead one more time.
Okay, we got to do Contact in the Desert. Here, I'll show this. Contact in the Desert is June 25th through the 28th, 2021. Tommy and I will both be featured in the host window of the virtual conference. So that would be on the main page when you go to contactinthedesert.com. Okay. And there's a lot of free content. So you don't necessarily need to buy a virtual pass to see virtual content. So please join us at Contact in the Desert on the 25th through the 28th. Okay, hold on a second here. What is going on? All right, folks, hold on a second. I want to post up this one more time. These are the links. So if you want to check out our Patreon, our YouTube channel, our Twitter account, our Facebook group, or our website, we'd highly appreciate it. And as always, from Tommy and I,